Thanks for checking out Mornings with Lone Star podcast on irlonestar.com. Don't forget, Mornings with Lone Star is live every weekday on irlonestar.com from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., covering all things Texas country music and Montgomery County news, with weather and traffic at the top and bottom of every hour. You can call in at any time with a song request at 936-647-3776 or Facebook message us on Facebook or tweet us on Twitter. Mornings with Lone Star would like to say a special thank you to the sponsors of Mornings with Lone Star, our neighbors at Conroe Coffee in downtown Conroe, Catering by All-Star, Michal B. Young, financial representative with Northwestern Mutual in the Woodlands, and the Texas Renaissance Festival in Magnolia, Texas. Right there. Mornings in Lone Star. It is now 9:02, so it's Meet the Candidates right now. Nathan Arizati's in the studio with Montgomery County Lifestyle. I like how you interrupted your own promo there. So that's Montgomery County Lifestyle. He's on Facebook, posting everything going on in Montgomery County. It's a great Facebook page to follow because he does keep you in the loop about who needs help, what events need to be promoted, and all that good stuff, especially with the political race coming up, with early voting starting in February, and of course March. Is it March 1st? Is that the official day for voting? Correct me if I'm wrong.
That's the first day.
And we do have a special guest in this morning. We have Kristin Bays. She's running for District 410 Judge. You can catch her online right now at baysforjudge.com. It's BAYS for judge.com. She's running for the 410th District Court. And then we'll learn a bit more about what that means and also who Kristin is. And we have Nathan. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, buddy. How are you?
I'm a little weirded out this morning. The power apparently is going out around downtown Conroe, and I'm sitting at the light for 105 and Fraser, and all the buildings around me start flickering. And it was like the light started flickering, Sonic started flickering.
Poltergeist?
And it was a little eerie. And the worst thing about that happening is that light intersection is very busy. So people start freaking out, like, do I go? Do I not go? And I'm like, I'm just trying to get to this stupid radio station. Let's go.
Because you knew you had special people coming
in. I had to get here. So I kind of went around somebody, hit the curb a little bit, and I got here safely.
Well, I have to throw a shout out there. I saw Natalie Laurent of J.D. Lambright's office posted on Facebook that the Sadler building was evacuated.
Yeah, something's going on.
And she lost her coffee in the building. Somebody take Natalie Laurent, Sadler building. Somebody take her some coffee now.
You know there's Conroe Coffee next door.
Right here. So come here, wave to us, and wave to Kristin Bays. Go get some coffee.
I turned that bench around so people could sit and watch.
Yep.
So we used to be looking at the back of their heads. It was a little weird. But we do have Kristin in the studio, and we are taking questions right now on Lone Star Internet Radio's Facebook or Montgomery County Lifestyle. Kristin, welcome to Mornings with Lone Star.
Well, thank you. I'm very excited to be here. I'm feeling kind of important and famous at this moment.
Well, you should be. You should be. Your face is on the internet. So everyone's important if your face is on the internet.
Absolutely. And if it's written there, you know it's true.
Exactly.
Well, that's my favorite part. That's my favorite part about politics. One thing that's exciting about this opportunity we have with Meet the Candidates is we get to kind of go off the board with some questions, and we get to know you a little bit more because there is something more personal than just writing your name down on the ballot and kind of knowing who Kristin Bays is and what you represent. The struggle I feel that every politician in Texas has is you got to be that straightforward Texas Ranger. I'm hardcore Constitution, like everything. Like I never been to a more boring debate when it's just all Republicans because they're going to say all the same things.
Oh no!
And well, from my experience, I'm like, man, this is going to be a really good debate. We're all going to disagree on this one subject matter. But what's great about this opportunity though is you're running for 410th District Court. And it's not something more political. It's more about this is actually an institution already in Montgomery County, and someone is running the 410th right now, and we're looking for somebody else. Who is currently running for 410th?
Mike Mays is the judge of the 410th, but he's announced his retirement, so he is not in the race.
And I always wondered that because when people announce their retirement, is it like an official thing, or do they really have to let anyone know?
Well, there's kind of two answers to that. Number one is it's only official until he doesn't come to work anymore. That's the moment that it becomes truly official, and we know that he is truly retired. And at that point, if it's in the middle of his term, then the governor would make an appointment to fill his seat. But the other side of that is that judges have an obligation under the Judicial Conduct Code to sort of let people know if they're not running again, so it doesn't discourage people from coming into the race because they think that there is an incumbent, and then 2 days before the last day to sign up for balloting, suddenly the judge says, oh, guess what, I'm going to retire. So really his retirement is not exactly official, but sort of.
I always just wondered that because you brought your husband here. Is this what's
Yes,
their
this is
support?
my husband, Randy, my husband of 19 years.
And I'm always wondering when
On New Year's Day, by the way. I listened the other night.
Hey, well
that's
done.
when my parents, that's what happened. Yeah, I think it's a good day. But no, one thing that always amazes me is each story with the candidates is different when it comes down to realizing you want to run for be a public servant. And I think that's something that's really interesting, especially with when judges go, "Hey, I'm going to retire." When you heard he was retiring, that's when you decided, or did you decide before he retires? I want to do something, but I don't know what yet.
Well, I'll tell you, I really had decided that I wanted to do something, and I was hemming and hawing about whether to actually do something because it's a big deal to run for a seat.
Well, not only is it a career shift, I imagine, but it's also a shift in your family. Like a lot of people, I think when they hit around 20, 22, they start making their plan, what they want to do for the rest of their lives. And running for a public office really curbs that, what you're previously doing, and it brings a whole new world.
It definitely does that. It's a very busy, hectic world. Your downtime is spent doing things to prepare for when your uptime starts up again. It's just the campaign trail is tough. It is trial by fire and very time consuming. And I've got a great supportive family that is starting to wonder if their laundry will ever be done again. So let me just tell you this right now, kids. Yes, eventually I will do the laundry. It may be after March 1st, but it will get done. So it is a big change.
Well, I congratulate you for making that first step, and I know it's really hard for everybody, but it's also worth it, because I think the 410th District Court is pretty interesting. The whole dynamic of how the court system works here, because since the courthouse is across the street for the whole county, you get to see a lot more workings in the county, not just in Conroe. And so what are you currently doing right now?
I'm sitting here having an interview with you.
Well, thank you. That's a smart answer. There you go. How about in general, what are you doing?
A broader
sense.
Oh, I see. I understand now. I practice law with my husband. We have our own law firm. We are actually just about 3 minutes away, about spitting distance from you guys.
Oh, wow.
We practice in the Montgomery County Courthouse. We actually had a jury trial just last week, so we're very involved in courthouse operations, and that's what we do. We just have our own private practice.
The law is something that's been going on for a long time,
Yeah.
I imagine. And since we have two lawyers in the studio, I wanted to ask your husband this, but he's not on the mic.
Oh.
But when you're switching teams, almost.
I am
Almost,
switching
right?
teams.
Is that where you're going, hey, I'm going to go try to be the judge
Yep.
of 410th District Court. You think you're ready for that, to switch teams?
I know that I'm ready for that. Now, whether he's ready for that, it's a good thing he's not on the mic, because he would take over my interview to explain to you. But we're not going to hear from him today, so I will speak for him. He's perfectly happy for me to switch teams.
He looks it. He looks ecstatic about it. He's giving a good smile. Well, no, it's always interesting to me too. It's especially long term. How long is the seat for 410? Like, say you do win, how long do you keep it?
Well, let's say I do win. It's a 4-year term. So.
Okay, and then you run a re-election at 4 years.
Exactly.
And with those 4 years, what would you try to change? What do you want to maintain?
Well, I think that the most important thing that needs to be changed is we need to start moving cases at the courthouse. I mean, our county is humongous, as
I know.
everybody knows. It's just grown by leaps and bounds. So we're at about 500,000 people now. I suspect that it's going up pretty dramatically over the years to come. And, with more people, you get more crime, you get more businesses, you get more lawsuits, you get more courthouse activity. And we need judges who can handle the stress, the strain, and believe me, I practice law with my husband. I understand stress and strain, and I handle it quite well. But I think that's the most important thing that we need in the 410th is somebody who can handle the cases that are over there and the cases that are going to be coming in over there and deal with them expeditiously, properly, effectively, efficiently, economically. And those are the things that I bring to the table.
What kind of court is it currently?
It is a general jurisdiction court.
So you see everything.
You see everything. It's set up by the Constitution. All of our district courts are, and district courts are designed to be the we the people court. They hear anything that the people need to have heard. And then the precise statute that actually created the 410th District Court, which historically used to be the 2nd 9th, but that's another story altogether. But the 410th District Court was created with that same approach, that it is a multi-jurisdictional court, and it handles anything that people need to have heard.
So one day you'll be hearing family court, next day you'll be hearing just completely different Is there a criminal too? You do criminal and
It's
like everything.
criminal.
It's everything. Man,
Criminal,
that's nuts.
civil, family, just the whole shebang.
Well, I'm hanging out with Nathan Arizati of Montgomery County Lifestyle with our Meet the Candidate, Kristin Bays, in the studio. She's running for judge for 10th District Court. You can find her online, baysforjudge.com. Nathan, we're going to take a quick break.
Okay.
And we're going to take a music break, so we'll be back in about 3 or 5 minutes. Right now, we got Zane Williams. This guy who's playing in Steamboat. This is his current single. This song is called She Is. You're listening to Mornings of Lone Star. Meet the Candidates with Kristin Bays. We'll be back.
Behind every victory is someone who helped make it happen. Call them mentors, coaches, or even mom or dad. At Northwestern Mutual, we call them partners, the financial professionals that can help you tap into strengths you might not even know you have, and guide you where you want to be financially and personally, because no one wins alone. Start building financial security with Northwestern Mutual. Contact Michael Young today. Visit michael.b.young@nm.com. You and Northwestern Mutual, stronger together. The Northwestern Mutual Life Insurance Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Scooter Brown Band, his new one, Hard Times. Mornings with Lone Star, right here at 9:17. Hanging out in the studio for Meet the Candidates, which we have now expanded it all the way through the week. So every day, Monday through Friday at 9 a.m., you hear something about political talk leading up to early voting in February. I'm hanging out with Nathan Arizati.
Good morning, sir.
Montgomery County Lifestyle. Check them out online. We are accepting questions online at irlonestar.com. Go to Facebook, Lone Star Net Radio, or Montgomery County Lifestyle. We have Kristin Bays in. She's running for 410 District Court Judge. And we're learning more about her and also what the court system here in Montgomery County and how it operates. And apparently, it's not moving fast enough for Kristin. So, that's always interesting to me too, because you're faced with not a dilemma, more of the situation that district court, what we learned, is a general court. So you're going to have different types of cases, and then you're going to have different types of rulings on those cases, because some are clear cut. I imagine some are not. So pushing as many as you can through, it's going to be kind of hard because you're getting hit from all sides. Instead of just one practice, you're getting hit from all sides, right?
Yeah, I did not say it was going to be easy.
Well, that's the greatest thing is a lot of people don't know anything about courts unless you're on either side of the bench. Mm-hmm. And most times you don't want to talk about it if you're on the other side of the bench.
No, it's a bad day if you have to go to the courthouse for anything other than jury duty. So.
Yes, and what's interesting to me is you talk about the formula or the way you handle the cases and getting them in and out. Can you go into a little bit more description about just say like the day-to-day thing of a judge that you know of, or as a lawyer, how do you think you can make it go by faster?
Well, there's actually several little moving parts that are in play here. Because you're right. I mean, some of these cases are very clear-cut, very straightforward. In the civil arena, we call those summary judgment cases, and those are motions that attorneys can file. And I know that some of you are dozing off, so drink some more coffee because we're going to get through this. But those are motions that attorneys can file that say, here are the facts that everybody agrees to. Here's what the outcome has to be under the law. We don't need a trial. Just give us a judgment in our favor at this point. That can get cases moving awfully fast. When judges review those things, grant them, that case is over, and no trial was ever necessary. And trials are things that really do take up a lot of time. So there's a lot of motions like a motion for summary judgment that are used in the civil arena that can help move cases quickly and get them to finality quickly. In the criminal context, I think probably the best way to make sure that cases move is to set them for trial. One thing that lawyers learn really early on is that cases have a tendency to settle or plea bargain with a trial setting looming large. That is, like I said, people don't like to be at the courthouse other than for jury duty, and maybe not even then. But it's the idea of having to go to trial is intimidating. It's frightening. The outcome is uncertain, and your fate is in somebody else's hands. And that tends to encourage people to get together and figure out what they can do to get the case resolved by an agreement. Those trial settings can't be loose, though. Because if they are loose, then that fear factor doesn't come into play. And I'm not saying we should scare people into submission, but what I am saying is that cases that need to go to trial will go to trial. But cases that really ought not to go to trial, cases where some defendant is not real sure whether to plea bargain or not and just needs more time to think about it, well, you've got a trial setting and it's time to make a decision, and they know that trial setting is actually going to happen, well, then it's fish or cut bait. A lot of those things will move those cases. Really just setting the deadlines and sticking to them by itself is going to move a lot of cases.
Well, that's a good answer. And now I actually do I did listen. I had drank my coffee.
Okay, well
I paid
done.
attention. Because one thing that's neat about the political arena is people can say what they want to change, but also how do you go about making those changes? And typically no one puts a microscope over what you're proposing to change. So moving cases along is a goal of, would you say, any court, or is it not? I think it's kind of hard or wrong to say, let's move it along. It's more of, let's get an effective way where we can get in and out so we get the right ruling, and also we do it in a timely manner where we're not overfilling the jails, which is a concern of everybody, and then also we're not doing enough cases to where we match the population of the Montgomery County, because we are growing, and I imagine there's going to be more sludge in the horizon.
Sludge, yeah. Well,
And other than those cases, is the general court, I know some people discuss about being a specific court and a general court. Is that something every judge votes on, right? All the district courts get together and they decide I don't really know that process that well.
You got your coffee handy?
Yeah.
All right, so get ready. You're going to need it for this one. Specializing the courts is something that can be done in one of two ways, and only one of these two ways. One is the legislature can amend the statute. That's something you see in Harris County a lot. That's, the big metropolises around Texas. They see a lot of specialized courts. So what happens is the legislature creates the 271st court or something and says this one's a family court.
Okay.
Or the next one's going to be a criminal court or a civil court. They are designated by statute, and so their jurisdiction is limited to those things in the statute. Now, that hasn't happened with any of the courts.
Can you go back? Say you already are a specialized court, you're a family court. Can you change that from a family court to a general court?
If the legislature lets you.
Okay.
I mean, they define what the jurisdiction of these courts are consistent with the Texas Constitution. So the Texas Constitution says big and broad. The statute that creates the exact court that we're talking about can limit that jurisdiction to something more precise. But that hadn't happened here in Montgomery County. Instead, there's the alternate procedure. The alternate procedure involves the Board of Judges, which is all the judges in Montgomery County, getting together and passing a resolution related to specializing the courts. That resolution really needs to be based upon some data that really shows that these specializations are necessary, that they will effectively move cases, et cetera, et cetera. So they have their resolution about specializing the courts. That then goes to Judge Olin Underwood. He is the administrative judge for the 2nd Judicial Region, which Montgomery County is within that. And if he says, I disagree, then it ends there. If he says, I agree, I think this seems like a good idea, then it goes to the Texas Supreme Court. And they have to approve it, and their approval becomes a change to Montgomery County's local rules about how these cases are filed. And I will tell you, that hasn't happened in Montgomery County either, with the exception of County Court at Law Number 2. But the other courts have basically just done this by agreement, which is fine. But in my view, it's an experiment that has just not really worked the way it was intended. So at this point, we really don't have any specialized courts under the eyes of the law. But we do have judges who are trying to make an effort to clear cases. I just disagree with the approach that's been taken.
Okay. Well, man, see, I like that. It's a little change doesn't hurt anything, right?
Right.
So, Nathan, do you have any questions? I mean, I'm going to ask some more, but you're always quiet.
You're asking all the questions. You're on fire, dude. You're in fuego.
It's neat to meet these people, especially Kristin, because you're looking at a situation with the 410th District Court, and that's the hot topic everyone goes to, is like whoever gets in charge of these courts can change it from a direction. And it's something that a lot of people aren't educated. Like me, I don't know what the difference is. Like, do we really need it? How do I know? And like you said, data. And, of course, that data is never made available to anybody. So, which is unfortunate, because we talked about that with our constables last week about the way the government or way the local government here presents itself on the internet, because they don't really do a good job of it, or where it comes down to information and statistics and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
But we also know misinformation's all over the internet, so that's what kind of stinks. We wish we had an official position on certain things.
Well, and one of the things I wanted to say that I've expressed with several of the people that are current judges or different candidates running for it is so many people just don't pay attention to the judge races. They pay attention to the sheriff. They pay attention to the president, the federal. They pay attention if I live here locally and my buddy's pal's friend is constable so-and-so. They pay attention to that. And then they don't think about the judge position. But my God, that can impact our lives so big. What is your thoughts on that?
That is exactly my thought on that, is that It's very easy to overlook the judges over at the courthouse, and I really do understand that. But those are people with an awful lot of power. And I know that most people feel like I just will never really have occasion to appear before a judge, but that's what everybody I've ever represented over 22 years as a lawyer thought as well. So at the point in time when you find yourself at the courthouse in front of a judge, that's when you start realizing this is somebody who has a great deal of control over your life, your property, your kids. It's somebody that you really need to be attentive to who is making those decisions. Those races are actually really important, and I'm even going to throw this out there, Nathan. The presidential races are far more interesting to people, and I do understand that. But the people that work at the local level as your elected officials, those people have a much more day-to-day impact on your daily life. And those races, although we're at the end of the ballot, really are pretty important.
Yep, I agree.
And that information you can find more about Kristin is online.
Yes.
Bays for Judge. And then also the 410th District Court does have a website on mctx.org, and you can see the weekly rulings and things like that. But it's really interesting to see what's available to everybody, and especially how you can be held accountable. That's always something I've learned at a very young age, is being accountable for your actions. And how can we hold people in your position as a judge in the future? Like, how do we hold those people accountable? And then we can do it by voting. That's one way we can show our accountability to others, is by voting. Would you agree with that?
Oh, I definitely agree with that. And I'll tell you, when you cast your vote, it doesn't even have to be blind, because there is some information on the internet. And if I'm elected to this position, I expect that I will be putting a lot more, because I do think all this data, the fact that it's public but isn't really accessible, doesn't really make it very worthwhile. But I would tell people that the courthouse is open. The Texas Constitution has an open courts provision, and you are free to roam around at the courthouse and poke your head into any of the courtrooms, see how people are doing.
Yeah, I saw where somebody asked you the other day when you talked about jury at 9, trial at about 11 a.m. last week, and somebody said, "Oh, is it open to the public? Can I come in?" And you're like, "Absolutely, come on down."
Yeah. Yep. I mean, people don't really realize that, but there's stuff happening at the courthouse, and the public is absolutely entitled to go and check things out. So it doesn't have to be a big mystery. You really can go over there and watch. It's not quite as exciting as TV trials and such, but
Judge Judy.
That's right. No Judge Judy over there, I'm afraid. But
real life.
That's good. But it is around 9:30 right now. We do have to take another break. We're hanging out with Kristin Bays. She's running for judge. You can look at her online, baysforjudge.com, 410th District Court. And we'll be back with Nathan Arizotti, Montgomery County Lifestyle. We got great music coming up. Here's Jake Ward with Take My Hand. You're listening to Lone Star Net Radio here on irlonestar.com.
Hi, this is Catering Cody with All-Star Catering Company. We've been catering for Montgomery County since 2005. We are now offering take-home casseroles available for you to pick up Monday through Friday. To learn more, give us a call at 936-228-0440. Send an email to info@cateringbyallstar.com or check us out on Facebook at Catering by All-Star. So come on in and get your dinner tonight and feed your family the simple way with All-Star Catering.
Imagine a place where you can sip on Italian coffee and have a sandwich, followed by a fabulous, delectable pastry. We invite you to stop by Conroe Coffee to experience old world charm. Conroe Coffee is located next to the historic Creighton Theater in downtown Conroe. We are open 7 days a week. Please check our website for business hours at conroecoffee.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Have a caffeinated day.
All right, that was Folk Family Revival right there with Water Walker. Those folks are from Montgomery County, and they play around Montgomery County. They have a new album that came out several months ago. You need to check them out. That was Folk Family Revival. You're listening to Mornings Lone Star. We're doing Meet the Candidates. Nathan Arizotti in the studio.
Yes, sir. And
Yes,
I
sir.
am wide awake, and I've only had 1.5 cups of coffee.
I don't believe you at all. We have Kristin Bays in the studio. Kristin, or baysforjudge.com. That's Bays for Judge, B-A-Y-S for Judge. She's running for 410th District Court. We're discussing the importance of this court and also the way we handle when we go vote and be informed. So, Kristin, I know a lot of people, when it comes to these kind of ballots, a lot of people just don't care. And it's not that they don't care. There's nothing impacting them directly right now. And it's really hard to present these situations to people like, this is why you should vote for 410. And we kind of discussed getting the rulings in and out and effectively, and that way you're doing more cases and doing it all the time. is there another issue you would say that's going on with the court that you would just say, hey, this might be up for debate or something that we need to change? And what would that be?
Well, I definitely think there's another issue. It actually stems from the problem of the backlog of cases that actually every judicial candidate in every race has agreed that we have. And that offshoot problem is a big one, and it's the fact that our jail is overcrowded.
And that's the county jail?
The county jail.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
But our jail is overcrowded. That's something that County Judge Craig Doyle talked about at one of our Board of Judges meetings, and you've seen it in the Courier. And what the deal is we have 1,253 beds at our jail. Anytime that occupancy is over about 90%, that's when people start to become alarmed about jail overcrowding, and we've been operating over 90% for quite some time. Of the 1,253 beds, we have about 700 people over there at any moment in time that are just over there waiting for their cases to go to trial. And the problem with that is that, we have a constitutional obligation to speedy trials, and that's not exactly happening, but it's also a huge cost because it's $50 per person per day to house those folks. So if you don't have your cell phone handy, let me do the math for you. That's $35,000 a day that we're spending on people to sit over there. Because we are in an overcrowded condition, we have to have more law enforcement officers over at the jail just controlling the population, which means they're not out patrolling the streets to keep us safe. And our commissioners have actually been debating since about 2014 building a new jail. And that one's carrying a price tag of $200 million. And if they're thinking about $200 million now, by the time it would get built, we all know it'd be about $300 million. So that expense is huge. And the question is, will that really solve the wait time problem? And the answer is no. It's going to increase the size of the waiting room. So the only thing that can really solve the problem of the cost and the expense of people waiting over at the jail is to get them to trial. And I'll tell you that we bring a shuttle from the sheriff's department over to the courthouse on just really a daily basis to take these prisoners over to various settings that are happening at the courthouse. On just picking a day in the life, last Thursday, they carried over 66 prisoners to go and get their final trial information, and 61 of them went back to the jail with resets. So no trial coming up, nothing like that. And that keeps happening. So the idea that has been pitched in my race in particular about specializing the 410th so we'll hear everything but criminal cases, to me, that's a non-starter. We need to have all available resources to help handle all of the types of cases, including especially the criminal cases. So the idea of moving out the 1,171 criminal cases that are over in the 410th, which is about 40% of its total docket, to other courts, that's not going to speed things up. That will slow things down necessarily, and here comes the $200 million jail, which we might be able to avoid if we can get those folks out. To me, the 410th is an important resource in helping to solve that problem and save that money.
Well, I mean, I know with the way the programs are currently running, why would you say today we're not doing it efficiently enough? Is there a number of goals, like, every day we got to set this many trials, or like how do you go about that, seeing on data wise? Like, why did this come up? Just because we were overcrowding jails? That's the only solution, is we got to get people out.
Well, getting them out, like I said before, really has a lot to do with setting these deadlines, setting these trials, and sticking to it. With the constant resets, what you see is nobody ever has that imperative of, I've really got to make a decision here. I mean, if folks are thinking about pleading out and you've got them set for trial.
And you're not just talking about the judge, you're talking about both parties.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, this is something that all the attorneys that are involved, prosecution and defense, they are involved in this process, but it's the judge that sets the schedule. And so if you have a trial setting and the judge says, we're going to reset 60, what did I just tell you, 61 out of 66 people are going to get resets, that deadline doesn't mean much. If that deadline means something, then parties who want to plead out, they plead out. Parties that really want to take it to trial, they get their trial. If they're acquitted, they go home. If they're convicted, they become a problem of the Texas Department of Corrections. But either way, they're off the county's payroll and out of the county's jail.
Well, what would you say are some of the problems, the reasons, maybe not the best reasons, that they're getting reset? Because I imagine at some point a defense attorney or a prosecutor is going to ask for a reset because of something that they deserve, that constitutionally it's the right thing. So then what are the problems? What opportunities are there that they shouldn't be reset that you think you see?
Well, there's really a couple of things, because what you say is really right. I mean, part of what a judge has to do is make the tough call about whether a reset is really warranted in the case or whether it's really not, and we're just doing a delay tactic. And you got to have a judge who knows the judgment to know the difference, and I do. If somebody deserves a reset, if it's really necessary for constitutional purposes, sometimes life just intervenes. Somebody gets into a car wreck and they're not going to be able to come to trial next Monday. Well, then by golly, we're going to have a reset. So, those are the kind of things that you have to weigh out on a case-by-case basis. But a lot of times what's happening is the cases are just getting reset because the judges just don't really have the time to deal with it, or they're not taking the time. I mean, one of the things about the 410th now is that it divides its trial weeks, 4 trial weeks in a month. It divides its trial weeks between civil or among civil, family, and criminal cases. So there's 1 trial week each month that's devoted to criminal cases. Now, I will tell you that there is no reason to divide out trial weeks based on types of cases. To me, you have 4 trial weeks in a month, and you try what needs to be tried. So if you're having that, if you're not having a grand total of 12 weeks out of the year that are criminal trial weeks, instead you've got every week in the year available to try criminal cases or whatever needs to take priority in that particular week.
And like you said, there's 40% of the docket is criminal.
Exactly right.
That's a good way to look at it. Kristin, what we're going to have to do right now, we're going to give you the platform to really say what you got to say about your position, about where to contact you, what events you have, fundraisers coming up. If you don't mind, we're going to kind of switch from interview question part to who Kristin Bays is. So go ahead.
Well, I am so excited that I got to be here today. This has really been a lot of fun for me. I'm glad to have the opportunity to talk to the voters. I really think we've covered the bases about the things that I think are important for voters to know. So here's the moment that I'm going to tell you to turn and face the flag, folks, and think about this long and hard. There are things called down ballot races, which is such a bad term. I mean, it really does kind of convey to you that these are not the races of utmost importance. And I'll tell you what's worse is that there's an awful lot of people that are going to be on your ballot in an awful lot of races come March 1st, with early voting beginning on February 16th. It's just right around the corner. It's a lot of people to learn about. It's a lot of races to learn about, what these jobs are, who's running for them, and it's an awful lot of work. And I will tell you something, I have to go through that work my own self because I am a taxpayer in this county. I am a voter in this county, and you've got to go cast an educated vote. But that isn't as easy. It's harder to do than it is to say. But it's important, which is why it's great that you all have provided this forum to allow candidates to come talk to the voters about what the issues are. And in the race for the 410th, really the issue comes down to what this court does per the Constitution and the statute and whether that should change to something else. And to me, the answer is pretty clear that no, this needs to fulfill its constitutional objective. We need to follow the law about creating this court and have it be the court for we the people of Montgomery County. It needs to be there to hear whatever needs to be heard because right now 40% of the 4/10 cases are criminal, but in another 2 years perhaps 40% of them will be family. Perhaps 45% of them will be civil. It's hard to tell. With a growing county, we need to have the flexibility to be able to react to what the people need. That's what this court needs to do. And I've got the experience to handle all the types of cases that the 410th currently has. I am a law nerd. I actually love the law, enjoy the law, research the law. You wouldn't want to take me as a candidate for a dinner date to have a discussion because it would bore you to tears. But it does make me a good candidate for judge because that's really what you want. You want somebody who really enjoys the process, the legal process, understands it, knows it, lives it, and loves it. And that's what I do. So that's my candidacy for the race for the 410th. Now, in addition to getting to be a superstar on the radio this morning,
You haven't sung yet.
I haven't sung yet, but yeah, I will warn everyone who's listening before that begins to happen so that you can tune out right away. Trust me, it will not be pleasant. But before the singing begins, and Nathan is going to join me in a duet, by the way. I know, surprise to you. But before that begins, I will tell you that I'm having a meet and greet this evening. It's at Ransom Steakhouse over on 3.
Steakhouse.
I know, it's going to be awesome. So the food, we'll have great food. We'll have an open bar. I said an open bar. Let me take that back quickly. We will have a cash bar. Very, very different thing. I want to be clear about that. But it's going to be at Ransom Steakhouse. It's 300 CB Stewart Drive out in Montgomery. Great place. I think everybody will really enjoy it. It begins at 5:30, and it'll go basically until everybody wants to go home. So I would really love to see lots of folks come out and get an opportunity to meet you face to face. I promise I will not sing. So that really ought to pretty much sell the deal, I would think.
Well, Kristin, I want to say special thanks for being part of Meet the Candidates. People who are listening right now, we're talking to Kristin Bays, and she is running for 14th District Court Judge. And we podcasted this segment, so keep an eye out on our podcasts on YouTube and also SoundCloud for the whole segment, because she's been here since 9 a.m. Also,
and that's what we'll do. Like on Montgomery County Lifestyle,
we'll post it.
Lone Star Radio, we've put her website and her Facebook page, and then we'll blow that out there for everybody too.
And I want everyone to make sure they're registered to vote. I think the registration voting is it ended? Registered? No. I'm getting good. All right, good. That's good. So get out there and check your register status. It is 9:48. Coming up next on Lone Star Net Radio, our talk shows are going to start. And at 10 a.m., we're going to be leading with the Cindy Cochran Show. She's going to have Lieutenant Bob Berry of the Conroe Police Department in the studio. And she's probably going to talk about how good the Texans are at football. I mean, we can talk about that all day. Following her will be the weekly business hour with Silver Fox advisor Dick Schissler. So stick around, Kristin. Again, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day and coming in. Nathan, it's good to see you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Who's going to be in tomorrow?
Oh, yeah. Remember, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, it will be unopposed candidates or currently elected officials and our groups to come in and talk about the overall election process. Tomorrow is Montgomery County District Attorney Brett Ligon will be in the house.
All right. So
Wednesday will be JD.
All right. So tune in tomorrow at 9. Oh, Kristin, what do you...
I'm raising my hand.
Okay.
Before y'all shut me down and move me along,
yeah,
I do want to give one major shout out.
Okay, one.
The song I was going to sing was Happy Birthday, because today is my husband's birthday. It is. So, happy birthday to Randy.
Happy birthday, Randy.
Maybe I'll just hum it.
There you go.
Yay.
Is that a first on Lone Star Internet Radio?
First.
Hey,
it is 9:50.
Groundbreaking.
We got a couple songs coming in between now and the Cindy Cochran Show. Hope you guys stick around here on Lone Star Internet Radio, irlonestar.com, Montgomery County's community radio station. Here is some Abby Cohn with Southern Charm. You're listening to Lone Star Internet Radio.
Thank you for checking out a podcast on Lone Star Internet Radio. Lone Star Internet Radio is Montgomery County's community radio station, broadcasting from the heart of Conroe, Texas. If you are interested in sponsoring a program for Lone Star Internet Radio, just visit us online at irlonestar.com or message us on Facebook. We are always taking song requests on Twitter, and if you are interested in getting involved with the station, by either hosting your own show or if you want to be a DJ, just contact Dick at irlonestar.com. Lone Star Internet Radio, Montgomery County's community radio station.